Alright, so today I found a surprise clutch of ball python eggs. Let me tell you, I did not think this female ball python was actually going to lay any eggs. As a matter of fact, this is actually my Dinker project. And the weird thing about this snake is I actually took my male coral glow that's 100% het pied and I bred it to a normal ball python. And I popped out this really crazy looking normal with a really scrambled up pattern and really strong striping on the belly of the snake. So I was wondering what in the world did I actually produce? So I decided to hold back that female and try to breed it back. As a matter of fact, I actually took that snake, the Dinker, and I bred it back to the coral glow, hoping if it's a new gene or something I'm not familiar with, maybe I'll actually produce a super breeding it back to that coral glow. And you know, coral glows can be really visually dominant. So if you work other genes into the coral glow, a lot of times it completely masks all the other genes. So you never know what I can actually pop out of this clutch. Hopefully I'll actually hit a super of this unknown gene, which may potentially give me an idea of what this gene is, or maybe it's a new gene, which would be pretty awesome. So what I want to do is I want to show you first the coral glow, the male that is the father of this clutch, and then I want to show you the female that I bred it to. It's kind of an unusual looking female, has a slightly different look to it, and then I want to show you this female on the eggs. Hopefully they're actually good eggs on this Dinker. Actually, I just kind of peeked in the tub and I saw she had some eggs in there, which surprised me, and it looked like they were pearly white, so I'm thinking she has at least one good egg under there, but it'll be interesting to see how many eggs she has. So let's jump over. The first thing I want to show you is this coral glow 100% het pied. Alright, so I'm going to start with the original pairing that produced that Dinker, which is kind of an interesting combination. And the male was actually this coral glow 100% het pied. I actually bought this one back in 2015, so it's been quite a few years. As a matter of fact, back then the coral glow pieds were selling for an insane amount of money. I actually paid $1,100 for this coral glow 100% het pied, not even a visual. And now I think the coral glow pieds are like half that or something like that. It's pretty crazy how the prices can really change. And this guy, he just is still on a fast coming through the breeding season. We're right at the end of the breeding season. Pretty much got almost all my eggs from my females. Now it's just, you know, a couple surprise clutches here and there from some random stuff that I didn't even know was going to lay some eggs, which is kind of crazy. And this particular strain of coral glow, it's interesting. If you actually look at them as hatchlings, this particular line of coral glow has a lot of oranges and purples and looks absolutely stunning as a hatchling. And as it ages and matures, it pretty much turns into this two-tone kind of an orange color with a whole bunch of freckles. It doesn't have any freckles when it's younger, and the older they get, the more freckling they get. So this one is kind of interesting too, because if you actually look at the pattern on this one, it kind of has a kind of a broken up pattern. So I'm thinking there might be something underneath here. So if you actually look at some of your regular coral glows, a lot of times the coral glows will have kind of almost a regular pattern throughout the body. And I'm thinking maybe there's something in here just because of how the pattern is kind of jumbled up. But let me show you next the female that I bred this one to produce that Dinker. Alright, so that coral glow's name, that was Mango. We named him Mango, and this normal is named Buzzer. And Buzzer is kind of a unique normal, probably one of the most unusual ones that I actually have. If you actually look at her compared to all my other normals, it seems like her color is a little bit slightly different than all my other snakes. So this one actually, as a matter of fact, I was actually breeding this one this year. I don't think it's gonna go because it went back on food. It looks like it's full of eggs, but it actually ate a couple rats just a couple weeks ago. So I don't think this one's gonna go, but I actually took the coral glow and I bred it to this one and produced that Dinker. As a matter of fact, when that Dinker was sticking its head out, it had a normal looking head, and I thought, oh, it's just another normal, you know. I was hoping for something besides normals. And then when it came out of the egg, I was surprised at how jumbled up the pattern was on that Dinker. Completely unexpected as far as what you'd see just on a normal ball python. So let me show you that Dinker female on a bunch of eggs. She actually came from the cross between these two snakes. Alright, so this girl's name is Happy. Happy is my Dinker. As a matter of fact, I used to put Dinker up here, and then I decided, well, technically this snake is just 50% het pied. I'm pretty sure it's 100% het pied because you can actually look at the belly. It has some pretty strong tracks on the belly and has a really crazy pattern as far as kind of a really jumbled up pattern. Definitely not like any normal that I've ever seen. As a matter of fact, I've seen some, I saw one that looked almost exactly like this over on Morph Market. Someone was selling it as a mahogany. I don't think this is a mahogany. I've also seen a similar snake that was sold as a Super Arroyo, which is a Rio, which is kind of an interesting combination. So it'll be interesting to see what this girl turns out to be, if it's one of the genes that's already well established, or if it's something new. Or as a matter of fact, I've actually had some people look at the snake and they said, hey, that just kind of looks like just an unusual het pied. They thought the het pieds could be really scrambled up like this. But if you actually take a look kind of at the top, it almost has like the bubbles in the top line that come down the top of the snake. And if you look at the sides, it has a lot of really crazy patterns on the sides. So I think there's definitely something going on with this girl. So let's pull this girl out and see how many eggs is under this girl. All right, so take a look at this girl. On smaller females like this, I'm always worried about slugs, because every time I have a snake that gives you all slugs, it seems like it's always one of these smaller females. So hopefully we won't get too many slugs. You never know with these small females. This is her first year breeding, and she was like right on the edge of being big enough. I think she was like 1,500 grams or something like that when I first started breeding her, but she's got a death grip on these eggs. Let's see if we can get her off of these eggs here. Take a look at this. Whoa, looks like, man, she might not have that many eggs underneath here. Let's take a look at what she's got. Looks like she's kind of pulling them up here, which is kind of crazy. They're definitely not sticking to the bottom of the tub. Well, let's see. Ooh. Let's see, looks like she's got like a death grip on these eggs. Come on, girl, let go. All right, well, it looks like we have 3 and then 1 boob egg there. That I've actually had luck with the boob eggs. You just get a really small hatchling out of those. And take a look at the belly on the snake. I would say this is definitely het pied with these really strong marks on either side of the belly, especially right down here. So I'm thinking this girl is het pied. And look at all the weird kind of patterns on the side, and then the stripe right down the top with this bubbling right in the top stripe right in here. That is really unusual. So it'll really be interesting to see what's going on with that really unusual girl, as far as if there's any genes, if it's genetic, or just kind of sometimes you'll actually get just a random crazy looking normal that you can't reproduce in the offspring. It's not genetic, but hopefully whatever's in here will be genetic and we'll reproduce it, which would be pretty awesome. So I want to put this girl down here, and 3 eggs and a boob egg. So that's kind of interesting. I'm actually going to get my Sharpie and I want to candle these and see what they look like. Hopefully they're all good eggs. I've actually had some problems in the past with some eggs that don't have any embryos or any veins in them. Oh, you know, the first thing we got to do is we got to separate them. That's what we got to do. I can almost candle them all together. Let's see, we'll take a look at this one. Look at that. That one actually has an embryo right in it, right there. That's pretty awesome. So it looks like this one will actually develop this little boob egg here. I'm gonna put an X right on the top. So it looks like I kind of jumped the gun. I want to separate these eggs before I actually candle them. So let's see if we can pull them apart here first. But yeah, it's pretty exciting that that boob egg actually has some veins and embryos in it. You never know on something like that. Only 3 eggs. This is definitely the smallest clutch of eggs I've ever had in my life. I think maybe I had a 5 egg clutch once, which was pretty much the smallest clutch. It has a weird little spot on this one, almost like a smaller than normal egg on this one, which is kind of wild. And I want to separate these. That way if you have a bad one, you can kind of move it to another box and kind of do some special things to try to save your egg. So let me see if I can separate this one here. Nice. All right, so now I'm going to candle them. See if we can get the position of the embryos on these eggs here. This is a really long one. Look at how long that one is. Kind of crazy. The embryo is this little circular thing that kind of jiggles around right in the camera right there. So I'm going to mark this one right on the top there. And let's take a look at these other ones here. Embryos right here on top of this one. You can kind of see it jiggling around a little bit right there. And let's see on this one, embryo is right there. Whew, this flashlight gets really hot. I'm always worried about getting this flashlight too close to these eggs because this thing gets super, super hot. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do is set up my incubation box. And I'm getting so good at this at the end of the season here. I can almost just eyeball it without even measuring it out, but I always like to measure it out. So I actually use 150 grams of vermiculite. We're like 146, 149 and a half, close enough. 149.9. All right, getting pretty quick on the vermiculite. And then I zero it out, add 150 grams of water without overshooting. It seems like I've been overshooting the water lately, which once you put the water in, you really can't take it out. So you gotta work a little bit slower on the water to get it in there. I'm at 100, 110, 120, 30, 40, 153. Good enough. Good enough, good enough. And I actually use distilled water and I heat it to, well, I was heating it exactly to 90 degrees. What I actually do now is I just kind of take the water and I throw it in the microwave in a glass bowl for about 30 seconds just to warm it up a little bit. And by the time I actually put it in here, I'm sure it cools down quite a bit. And it's not really like ice cold water, but it's not super hot either. It used to be, whereas I think I kind of dialed it in where about 30 seconds in the microwave is right at about 90 degrees for that water, so that worked pretty perfect. So from here, I'm actually going to kind of spread it out a little bit more and put my grate on there. I use these egg crates, like a plastic egg crate, just to keep the egg off the bottom and keep it clean. And then I want to add the eggs to the egg box. Alright, so when I put these eggs back in the box, I like to kind of put them in a star shape, especially when I have 4 eggs. So as a matter of fact, I actually have 66 eggs in the incubator, so this brings me up to 70 eggs in the incubator, which is pretty awesome. As a matter of fact, I was actually looking through all my tubs. It looks like I may have one more female that might lay. She's looking pretty big. So I usually get anywhere from about 50 to 100 eggs, and it just really depends randomly on the females. Sometimes you get more females that lay, sometimes you get kind of random stuff like this, and sometimes you get like smaller females like I had on one of my last clutches. I actually had 5 slugs, which was unfortunate. Sometimes if you use females that are a little bit too small, they'll slug out like that. So actually what I did is I printed out 2 labels. So this is the cross, my Coral Glow 100% het pied crossed with my Dinker. I'm just gonna put Dinker, well it's 50% het pied, but I'm pretty sure that's at least het pied on that girl. And then I put the lay date and the hatch date, so it's 60 days before these will actually hatch, which is pretty awesome. Alright, so take a look at my egg incubator filling up with beautiful Ball Python eggs. Pretty awesome. 70 eggs in my incubator. And the first ones, actually the first ones that'll hatch is the ones right on the top. That is a pretty awesome clutch right there. And I'm gonna start cutting those in about 3 weeks. I'll start into the egg cutting season. Let me tell you, that is the most exciting part of all of Ball Pythons, going in there and cutting the eggs and seeing what the results are from all your hard work. And the first box I'm going to cut in 3 weeks is going to be my bamboo calico crossed with a lesser. So we'll get some bamboos, some bamboo calicos. We'll get some bamboo lessers, which is a blue-eyed leucistic, an all-white snake with blue eyes, and we'll get some lessers out of that, and we'll get some normals. The odds of getting a normal are pretty low. Hopefully I don't get a whole clutch of normals. It seems like, you know, some years I'll get, you know, the odds are really slim that you'll get normals, and then I'll end up with like handfuls of normals, which is kind of crazy. And sometimes just the opposite happens. Sometimes you have really good luck with the odds. So that's pretty exciting, filling up with a lot of beautiful eggs, which is pretty awesome. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.